First, I want to say how happy I am to be back here in San Francisco with all of you. Every time I come here to this city, I am reminded of the role that this city has played in our movement. And for whatever reason, I'm reminded of all the people we have lost along the way. The city has seen so much loss through our history, and it's not lost on me. Last fall, I went to visit my parents in Orlando, and my Aunt Brenda was there. We sat drinking our bustelo, eating our rice and beans and pollo guisado, while she raved about her son, Isaiah. See, Isaiah had recently come out to her, and she was incredibly proud to have a son with the self-confidence and self-awareness at 21 to be his authentic self with his mother. And although she knew there would be people who would disapprove of his sexual orientation, even within her own family, she made it plain that he came first, and she would support and defend him and keep him safe. She would, as any lioness, because that's what she was, protect all of her cubs, and she had 11 of them, from the dangers in the world. And whoever Isaiah loved, would not change that. I sat there, bustelo in hand, and I thanked her. Because every time I see a parent show true acceptance and unconditional love for their LGBTQ child, it comforts me. And the scared gay Latino boy who still lives inside of me, even today. That night, she invited me to join them at a club, Latin night. See, Latin night is my favorite place to go. I want to remind you, I need you to understand that it's a daily battle to be understood and accepted in the Latino community as an LGBTQ person. But it's also a battle to be seen and appreciated as a Latino in the LGBTQ community. But in spaces like Latin Night, we're free. We can celebrate our culture, we can hold the hand of our beloved, and we can be ourselves completely. See, on Latin Night, my Aunt Brenda could see her son Isaiah dancing to salsa, merengue, or a bachata with another boy. And he could release the pressures of the week and feel free and just be without fear. And as much as I wanted to go, I couldn't. I had to fly back to LA. But honestly, I wish I had. Because months later, on June 12th, that would be the last time I would see her. On June 12th, I woke up that morning, like many of you. I looked at my phone, and there it was. The horrific news of a massacre in Orlando. at Latin night, at Pulse. My phone rang and it was my mom to tell me that Isaiah's mom, Brenda, my aunt, was shot and killed that night. She'd seen the man enter the club with his gun, and she shielded Isaiah with her body. And she did what she said she would do. She protected her cub and sacrificed her life for her son. We lost 49 people that Sunday morning. That bloody Sunday morning. "49 individuals with their own stories. My family's heart was broken. My heart was broken. Within hours, I had spoken to Sarah Kate, and I was comforted to know that GLAAD's team was there, on the ground, in Orlando, working with media outlets, making sure people knew it was an LGBTQ club, and ensuring that the stories of victims like Brenda were being told. Why? Because stories humanize us. They connect us. That's why GLAAD believes that storytelling is the key to accelerating acceptance. A few days later, Anderson Cooper gave the first 15 minutes of his show to sharing stories about those people, my people, people like my aunt. The concept spread like wildfire to other news organizations. Now, because of them, because of the way that they were covering this story, these were no longer 49 hard to pronounce Latino names. They were 49 people who we lost. Orlando was not just a tragedy. It was a wake-up call. We're not as safe as we think we are. We're not as accepted as we hope to be. And we cannot look away. But we must end the hate. For my part, I made a promise I will never again walk into any space and leave any part of myself behind, whether that be Latino, whether that be LGBTQ, or otherwise. I will no longer seek permission simply for existing here, now. I don't have to go to Latin night just to be free. I hope that you will make the same commitment in some way, in your own way. I hope that Orlando has awoken us to those truths. You know, there are so many ways that we can still support the LGBT community in Orlando, and they're still hurting. The cameras have gone away, but the pain still exists. 3.6 million Facebook users around the globe added this frame, created by GLAAD, to their profiles. declaring, "We are Orlando." It received almost 1 billion views. And so many individuals, including many of you in this room, generously gave to GLAAD in those dark days. And several corporations stood up to end the hate by giving to GLAAD after that massacre. And Google is one of those companies. Googlers around the world got together to make a difference. They donated $20, $50, whatever they could until they raised over $60,000. Google matched that donation and gave over $120,000 to GLAAD so that we can keep sharing the stories of Orlando. I think we need to say thank you to those two tables right there. But I also want to remind all of you that we're aiming for $1 million night, and that you also can be a part of essential culture change. You can give to GLAAD tonight by texting 41444 and writing GLAAD, G-L-A-A-D, not like the plastic bags. And then you can write your amount pledge and your name. And you can be part of this movement. So if we're going to be $1 million night, let's take a look at the thermometer. The Wells Fargo thermometer, by the way. Okay. So our goal is 200,000. We're at 75. I'm not leaving. We're going to lock the doors. I might sing a few tunes. I'm kidding, Sarah Kate. So we have a little work to do. And I know that you guys can make this happen. So until then, and just to whetten your appetites, while GLAAD was in Orlando, they reached out to connections in Hollywood and the music industry. And they brought together the world's biggest recording stars to support the victims in Orlando, the survivors in Orlando, and their families. They created a track, which I love. It's on my iPod, and I work out to it because I'm that kind of queen. And it's called Hands. And you can download it now on your iTunes. That artist, this next artist, appeared on Hands. She is my friend. She is the loveliest human being, and she is donating her time tonight. She is a Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter who also happens to be one of the great out LGBTQ musicians of our time. Please help me welcome the great, the gorgeous, the lovely Mary Lambert.